Hey everyone, welcome back to the end of chapter one. And here we are. We're going to be looking at ethical concerns when conducting a study and how to conduct a study in a way that people will agree with or has your study will have integrity. And we'll learn about how people sometimes manipulate that as well if they have weaker ethics and change, use their studies to change the data. All right, so some vocabulary at first. We have an explanatory variable and then the response variable. So what we're changing, what we're studying is the explanatory variable. And what gets impacted is called the response variable. So the response variable changes based on what we're doing with this explanatory variable. So suppose we're studying COVID therapeutics and we're using different doses of a certain medicine. So the different doses would be the explanatory variable. And then the response variable would be how does that person respond to each level, or how do the different people respond to the different levels of that medicine or that therapeutic. So in a randomized experiment, the researcher manipulates values of the explanatory variable. So we give different doses of that medicine or therapeutic, and we measure the results in the person, the response. That's called the response variable because it's responding to what we're changing, what we're testing. The different values of the explanatory variable. So that's the different values of that medicine. That those are called our treatments, which kind of makes sense in a medical sense. And the experimental unit is just a single object or individual being measured. Okay. Lurking variables are variables that are kind of hidden underneath. And so in terms of our COVID scenario, a lurking variable would be, what pre-existing conditions do the people have? Are they older? Are they younger? Do they have asthma, etc.? So in order to get rid of these lurking variables, researchers want to assign, so if we were doing this medicine COVID one, we want to assign different treatments of medicine randomly to a bunch of different people that have different pre-existing conditions. And we would need a sample size large enough of having young people and old people, etc., and not just a bunch of old people taking one type of the medicine and young people taking the other, because that would give us very different responses. So we need to randomly assign that to our treatment groups. So when we assign that randomly, the lurking variables are spread equally and then they are mitigated. Okay. And we have the word control group. You probably recognize this from previous science classes. And that's when we have a group that we basically do nothing to. We don't either we don't give them medicine, or sometimes in spots like this, in terms of studying medicine, you actually do give them some sort of a medicine, such as it's called a placebo. It's generally just a sugar pill, and there is no medicine in it, but the people think that they might be getting medicine, or they think it is medicine. And they do that because sometimes there's a psychological benefit to taking that pill in and thinking you're getting medicine in your body actually. It's called the placebo effect, when your body actually improves. So the control group takes this placebo treatment or medicine, and then they're not influenced by that medicine. And then that gives us a good baseline of what's happening. So we have something called blind and then double blind experiments. And a blind experiment is when one group is, in a sense, has blinders on as to what's happening. So participating in a study, you're receiving a pill which contains no actual medicine. So if they tell you you're getting a placebo pill or a sugar pill, then you might not be as, your body might not be as willing to change or to get better. So what they do is they call blinding, and they don't tell you if you're getting that fake medicine or not. And so if one person's blind, generally the patient like that, it's called blinding. And a double blind experiment is when actually the people and the researchers, so the patients and the research involved are blinded. And so they're not sure who is getting the medicine. They're not sure of the results they're looking at. They're not sure of if is this collection of data, is that people that had the placebo? Is that people that had the medicine? So then when they're looking over the data, they don't have a bias when they're interpreting what those numbers tell them. And so ethics, so misuse and misrepresentation of statistics sometimes gives statistics and mathematics a bad name. Some say numbers don't lie, but the people who use the numbers to support the claims sometimes do. And we'll see some examples in the book and our assignments that have misleading data. So it's sometimes difficult to spot. Researchers can sometimes stop collecting data once they have enough to prove that what they want to prove, and that's true. And sometimes they don't do an extensive study to get enough of the information they're trying to get. So that's kind of a really broad overview of ethics and bias in statistics with some vocabulary. And our assignment is here, and you're going to be just answering 3 questions using your textbook. So go ahead, use those key terms for that first question. So use your book or this PowerPoint, and good luck.